The mud puppy, Necturus. It's pretty complicated and it's pretty tiny, but we're going to figure this out. Actually, a problem. Could you zoom in again? Yeah, just a little further. Zoom. Telly, right? Yeah.
You should aim it at
a little more. A little more. All right, stop. There we go. That'll give us a little better. So the mud puppy is pretty complicated and it's pretty tiny, but we should be able to get it together. So first, let's start with the organs. One of the organs that is really good on your class's mud puppy is this little heart right here. So here, head is in the way, huh? Sorry. So here, oh my God, it looks really terrible on the screen. Let's zoom in further. Okay. It's tiny.
Is that good?
That'll have to do. So, here we have the ventricle, this big old thing right here. This is a 3-chambered heart, by the way, so we have 2 atria, one right here and one right here. Then we have the conus arteriosus coming off the ventricle. So down here is the conus arteriosus. Then, up here, underneath this skin, we have the bulbus arteriosus, this big all around structure down here. That's the heart. Moving on, we have this big all blue structure, it's the liver. Underneath the liver, we have all sorts of stuff. So the first thing that we should probably find is the stomach. Pretty easy. Stomach starts up here. This is the esophagus. This is the stomach. Comes down here to all the way down here. This is the pylorus right here. Pylorus right here. Goes on to the small intestine right there. Up here, we have the lung, which is this guy right here. Oops. This guy right here. Long, thin, gray structure. The pulmonary artery hanging off of it. This is the lung. It is a hydrostatic organ in the mud puppy, so it helps with buoyancy. Moving that aside, we have this guy right here, the spleen. It has the gastrosplenic vein and the splenic artery coming onto it. Back here. See those bright colors right there? The gastrosplenic artery and the splenic vein. We'll get to those in a little bit. Down here, we have the small intestine. Hanging around the small intestine here, we have the ovaries, but they're not very well developed. I'll show you on a different animal. And down here we have the cloaca. And right here, we have the bladder with the hypogastric artery hanging off of it. Down here, all the way beneath all this stuff, you can see this little blue structure. This is the kidney. It's usually hanging out underneath the ovary and the oviducts, or underneath the mesonephric ducts on the male. Let's take a look at some of those animals. So here we have a full-grown female, a full-grown male, I should say. Here, we have the testicle, big old blue structure right here, and this squiggly structure right here that's black and sort of, you know, disgusting looking, that is the mesonephric duct. All right? Now let's take a look at a female. Oh my God, that's my female. Oh, there's my female. Take a look at a female. These swollen egg structures are everywhere, and you can pick them out sometimes. Ew, that's gross. Oh, disgusting. But underneath it, you see this other squiggly structure. This is the oviduct. Goes all the way up here, all the way up there. Pretty cool stuff. One thing I forgot to add is that in the liver, this little balloon structure at the end of the liver is the gallbladder. So that's all of the organs of the mud puppy. Pretty easy, I think. So let's take a look at some of the arteries and veins, which are the hard part of the mud puppy, and they're the tiniest part. So we already looked. Let's take a look here. Get some of this stuff aside. Pulmonary artery and vein. So the easiest place to start is with this dorsal aorta right here. The dorsal aorta goes down from the heart all the way down here. Now the first thing coming off the dorsal aorta is this artery right here, the gastric artery coming onto the stomach up here. The second thing coming off the dorsal aorta is this guy right here. It's the first mesenteric, and it's called the celiaco-mesenteric. This guy right here. The celiaco-mesenteric branches into 4 arteries. It's the toughest one to remember. The first one it branches into is this guy right here, the splenic artery. The second one it transitions into, you can see from over here, to turn it over, then on the other side, you will see this guy right here. This guy right here is the pancreatico-duodenal, right next to the pancreas, which I accidentally didn't show you. This pancreas is just in this general area here. And coming off the pancreatico-duodenal, it becomes the first mesenteric over here. Also, the final thing it transitions to is the hepatic, which is the hepatic artery right here. So one of the things we went over in the first section is that there are 4 hepatic things in the mud puppy. We have the hepatic artery, we have the hepatic portal vein, which is this guy right here. Then we have the post cava, which is going into the liver right here. And finally, we have hepatic veins, which are sort of jammed up in here, like right there. Okay? So there's a lot of hepatic things to remember about the mud puppy. Coming on here, we have the mesenteric arteries, and they transition into the intestinal arteries up here, just like on the cat. Down here, all the way at the bottom on the bladder, let me see if I can find it. No, you're here somewhere. Oh, here it is. The bladder has the hypogastric. Be this guy right here. Right there. Okay, cool. It's all the arteries, except for the pulmonary artery, which we went over a little earlier, hanging off the lung. Right there. Okay, now let's do the veins. The veins are a little tougher. So, coming off right alongside the dorsal aorta, we have the posterior cardinal veins. The posterior cardinal veins run back here, and right here, you see they kind of split, one going up into the liver and one coming down here. These ones down here are the posterior cardinal veins. This one up here is the post cava. Okay, the post cava runs all the way back here, all the way down into the renals. Then we have the intestinals up here. So right here, we have the intestinals up here and the mesenterics right here. And then it all comes together down here to become the hepatic portal vein, which goes up into the liver, right up here. Then we have the gastrosplenic vein, right next to the splenic artery. And down here, you can see this little one right here, this is the gastric. And the splenics are part of the spleen itself. Is that it? Oh, there was one more that I forgot.
Which one is the intestinal vein?
The intestinal? The intestinal veins. The intestinals are these ones here.
They are all of them.
Yeah, they're all of them.
There is only one mesenteric and all of them are the intestinal.
Oh, is that true?
For the vein, yes. For the artery, no.
Oh, okay. So these are all intestinals.
Yes.
And then this thing right here is the mesenteric.
Yes.
And it comes up here to become the hepatic portal vein.
But for the artery, no. For the artery, it's,
For the arteries, it's different.
it's correct. It's all mesenteric, and then only the last branch is the intestinal.
Does everybody get that? For the arteries, it's all of these ones are mesenterics, and they become intestinals up here.
No, only very.
Oh no, I'm getting it wrong. I'm sorry, guys.
For the artery, these are the mesenteric, and then only at the end when they split, then it's intestinal.
Okay.
For the vein, this is mesenteric, and all these yellow are intestinal.
Ah, okay, that makes lots of sense. Okay. Last thing we had to talk about is this little one right here, this yellow one. This guy is usually connected right here. It's the ventral abdominal vein. Usually we lose it, so it's possible we may have one, but I'm just letting you guys know that because it's a cool little vein. That is everything you need to know about the mud puppy.